What does it mean to feel nostalgic? I mean, really feel nostalgic. To feel your brain harken back to a time where you felt joy. Or maybe it goes back to a time you had a specific person in your life who isn't here now for whatever reason. Maybe you felt a bit more optimistic, or simply remembered to smile more. We all have this sentimental longing, and it's for these moments that slip between our fingers, and before we knew it, they were gone. The people and places we feel the absence of, and all those times that we wish we could have back and relive again.
Ah, good times, good times.
Now, I don't want anyone to feel down in the dumps about it, especially here. Here, I want to embrace that, all aspects of it. You can consider this abode of mine your nostalgia roller coaster. Or, as I like to call it, Requiem for a Whiplash.
You got it! Welcome to Requiem for a Whiplash!
I'm NostalgicLee, and I am admittedly a nostalgia addict.
Stop it. Get some help.
I must say, I'm pretty stoked that you found yourself here. I'm glad this place of mine could be your sojourn for a while. Today, I'd like to talk about what ultimately led me to making this thrill ride, and that is Cartoon Network. Remember that sweet checkerboard logo? Or maybe you remember this.
Cartoons!
Doesn't it just take you back? Cartoon Network was not just a channel to get you out of your parents' hair. It was a community of characters and the kids that watched them. It brought us together through shared experiences, inside jokes, and characters that became like family. And chances are, you get into some pretty heated debates about them too. Come on. Starfire versus Raven? Oh, trust me, I know all about it. Or maybe Ben 10 versus Generator Rex. Or one that I remember having more than I'm proud to admit is Johnny 2x4 from Ed, Edd n Eddy Black? Maybe the infamous Magoozy isn't Toonami debate. All of it tapped into this universal enigma known as nostalgia, something we can all relate to. Let's dive into what made Cartoon Network so special, and what set it apart in my books.
Let's begin, shall we?
First and foremost, we have to talk about the show variety. I mean, from the wacky antics of Ed, Edd n Eddy to the sci-fi adventures of Dexter's Laboratory. And then you can't forget the superheroes. Oh my gosh, did they have superheroes like the Powerpuff Girls, or maybe one you don't remember, but Robot Boy. And of course, where Starfire and Raven came from, Teen Titans. And no, I don't mean Teen Titans Go, which I mean I don't have a problem with, but I mean Teen Titans, like the original Teen Titans, the one that we all grew up with as 2000s kids. There were so many hours spent just glued to the TV, watching and watching, waiting for what's going to happen next. And each show had its own distinct art style, characters, and humor, all stemming from the minds of creators like Tartakovsky, J.G. Quintel, Craig McCracken, Danny Antonucci, and one that people tend to forget about, Van Partible. This diversity is what made Cartoon Network a truly immersive experience for me, capturing the imaginations of children and adults alike. I, for one, love going back and watching some of those cartoons I grew up with and catching those adult jokes, you know, like Madam Foster's bust in Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, or maybe that time when Dexter may or may not have hired a stripper to replace Dee Dee. But that's a story for a different time. Cartoon Network was filled to the brim with shows that would make you laugh out loud and even make your parents chuckle, like the minds behind Johnny Bravo and its sense of humor. We learned to appreciate the witty dialogue, slapstick comedy, and absurd situations that Johnny would find himself in. Things like going on a date with an antelope, or getting outsmarted by a gorilla, or one of my favorites, everything that had to do with Farrah Fawcett. On the other side of the spectrum, there were the Powerpuff Girls. Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup, that dedicated their lives to fighting crime and the forces of evil. They taught us the importance of teamwork and fighting for what's right, even if the boogeyman made it seem hopeless. Or if it meant, finishing your veggies. Those adorable freaks of nature were more than just cartoon characters, but role models, in the same way as Superman or Spider-Man. Dexter's Laboratory scratched the sci-fi itch. Courage the Cowardly Dog hit the nail on the head for the horror fans.
Return the slab.
What?
Return the slab, or suffer my curse.
And Ed and Eddy, pure childish hijinks.
Slide on the soap. Slide on the soap. Slide on the soap. Slide on the soap.
If variety really is the spice of life, consider me the bon vivant of Cartoon Network's restaurant. How could I resist Totally Spies, Kids Next Door, Ben 10, Cow and Chicken? They were all such staples of Cartoon Network that it's hard not to remember them. It was cartoons galore, and now that I mention it, there is one more thing I have to talk about. This is the part where I mention seeing real. There you go. That's it. Never again. On to better things, happier things, like Boomerang. Oh yeah, it's all coming back to you. It started off as a programming block. It aired things like the Flintstones and Smurfs, but eventually it got its own station and then an app, but the later things we'll talk about in another video. Once again, Cartoon Network hit the nail on the head for diversity, this time the Hanna-Barbera edition. I lost so many hours of sleep just because of Boomerang. Well, I can't technically blame Boomerang, but gosh were those shows so good. The Flintstones, Yogi Bear, the Jetsons, the Smurfs. I should not have been awake watching that, but guess what? I was, and I loved it. It was a repository for classic cartoons from Warner Brothers and Hanna-Barbera, including the Looney Tunes and Tom and Jerry. And I forgot to mention, but I had a couple favorites. And those favorites were Top Cat and Johnny Quest.
Am I the only one who understands the complexities of this ambitious cinematic masterpiece? This movie isn't stupid! You're stupid!
The quintessential time machine for younger generations to see cartoons that our parents and their parents watched and loved. With such a wide array of classics, it was impossible for someone not to fall in love with at least a handful. The bygone era didn't seem so far away when Boomerang granted you the keys to their vault. It would be a sin not to mention all of those bumpers.
This is Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
And even more of a sin not to mention one of my favorite things in all of Cartoon Network history. C.N. Groovies. The C.N. Groovies delivered hit after hit, all of which were different genres and all of which were based on series that you would see on Boomerang and Cartoon Network. I'm telling you, they were the best. Because of these Groovies and because of Boomerang, I found so many shows that I probably wouldn't have found otherwise. Shows like Magilla Gorilla and shows like Ricochet Rabbit. And let me tell you, the day I found out that there was a character named Dick Dastardly, I let everyone know. My parents, on the other hand, I don't think they were too happy about that. Also, let's not forget the bumpers. I mean, do you remember the Johnny Quest bumper for Boomerang? Not only during the Boomerang block, but Cartoon Network also had these bumpers. But these bumpers were different with Cartoon Network. They were more era-based, like we had Starburst and Powerhouse, but one that really stuck out the most, and probably everyone's favorite, was Sin City. I won't dig too deep into that now, but just keep in mind that I will be talking about it. So keep an eye on the channel if that's something you're interested in. Also, down in the comment section, I want you to let me know, what was your favorite era of Cartoon Network? All this talk about program blocks that Cartoon Network had, and I bet you're wondering, what about that one? Yep, I'm gonna talk about it. Magoozy. I'm kidding, hold your fire. Yes, Toonami. Toonami was a block that focused on delivering action animation, and it was the coolest, like Thundercats, Space Ghost, and it was hosted by Moltar of Space Ghost. But shortly, he was replaced by Toonami's operation module, aka Tom. Tom gave us the gift of anime, Outlaw Star, Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, Yu Yu Hakusho, Tenchi Muyo. These shows became very significant in Cartoon Network's growth and expansion in terms of media. It was my gateway to a whole new world of storytelling and animation. It's where I found out that anime was anime, and Western cartoons were cartoons. I mean, I know they're the same thing, but it's easier to differentiate the two by saying that, at least in my head. Oh, it's definitely where I fell in love with anime.
Let's get started.
I bet none of you can sit there and watch any of the Toonami promos about any anime series and not at least think, I gotta check out at least 3 episodes. I dare you, go ahead and try.
Has the right to dream. There are endless possibilities stretched out before him.
You have to trust in your own power.
Whatever happens from now on, you stand firm and face your destiny without fear, but with courage.
With the shows being elevated by the promos, and then the promos being elevated by Tom, it was like this hodgepodge of everything that can go right going right at the right time. Everything about Toonami was perfect, and they didn't have to change a thing. I mean, they did here and there, but it was still good. Really good. The worst thing about Toonami was having to wait for more episodes. Having to wait for Dragon Ball Z, that was the worst. I needed to know if Goku was going to beat Frieza. But I guess that's where my character development came in. I had to learn patience. And boy, I learned patience. Toonami wasn't just entertainment. It was a window into a whole new world of animation. It was a tsunami of creative works that flooded our developing minds with worlds that we couldn't even begin to imagine. Honestly, I can go on and on about Toonami, so I'll leave that there for now. Cartoon Network and all that it had to offer wasn't just a channel. It was a part of our childhood. It filled our lives with joy, laughter, spooks, and inspiration. As animation evolves, Cartoon Network's legacy will continue to inspire new generations of creators and viewers. Its impact on the world of animation is undeniable. Even with all of the recent daggers sent directly to our heart with the studios and websites being closed down, I don't think that changes the legacy that Cartoon Network has. I won't pretend like those things didn't affect me, like I didn't watch my childhood burn almost. But at the end of the day, I still have my memories with Cartoon Network. I still have my memories with those shows. I will always love Cartoon Network, and I truly hope that one day the kids of the future will come to appreciate it in the same way that we all did.
Not scientifically possible!
What are some of your favorite Cartoon Network memories? Share them down in the comments below. Let's relive some of those magical moments together. Well, this is the end, beautiful friends. It's been a lot of fun, and I'd like to thank each and every one of you who made it this far into the video. These videos would mean nothing without you. Hopefully, I left you with or brought back some memories. Until we meet again, stay gold. Bang.